overall, the landscape, Sherry and Rebecca and I have a philosophy of treating actors with respect,
Mhm.
looking at their body of work, trying not to stereotype them into what they've done before. So really examining them on different mediums, go seeing them in the theater, different television shows, often will point that out. But as far as the human being, like, we're not here to judge them as human beings. We're here to judge the work and how they prepared for the work. What they do on the outside is really up to them.
All right, I'm
Have
good on
we
my end.
spoken
So,
before?
I don't believe so, but maybe you've seen me somewhere, so
Maybe.
that's a possibility. Thrilled to talk to you, ladies. So many questions. So I mean, I'm just gonna be shooting him away, but great show, first of all, Sugar here. I'm a huge fan of it. So this is kind of cool to see the minds behind the people we see on screen.
Thanks.
Have
Absolutely.
you watched the whole thing? Did you watch the whole thing?
I did not. So
Uh-oh.
Okay.
I'm
Okay, so
still
that's good. That's good to know.
yes. Because I the days of like this now, the streaming, the binging, I like to do things old school, which is like watch an episode, wait a few days or a week, digest it, and get excited for the next one instead of just like hammering it out all at one take. I feel like I like now what some of the streamers have doing, like every week premiere of an episode sort of thing. I think that's a better way to consume, at least for me, television.
Well, we will try not to give anything away.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine. If you do, it's, I set myself up for it. But I want to make this an open forum so anyone can jump
Yeah.
in and sort of answer when they feel like it. Uh, Casting, it's amazing to me too, and I'm sure you ladies noticed this too now, that we have shows now with huge stars. Like that wasn't the case before. You had your TV kind of stars and your movie stars. Getting Colin as to sort of lead this show, is this something you know in advance that, hey, we have Colin attached to this and we're kind of building the team around him? Or is this sort of a thing where you don't know initially when you're casting this and then he becomes available as an opportunity? I'm curious how this process sort of works like.
I think it varies from project to project, but this particular project, he was in talks, and when we met, to do our audition to get this job with Mark Protasevich,
Mhm.
they were already speaking with him, and then it was finalized as we were coming on board. So we knew we were building around him,
Mhm.
this world.
Is it easier actually or tougher in a sense when you're building around an actor? It's kind of like a sports analogy. I'd say you have like your star player in a sense or recognizable star, and then you got to build the pieces around him. When you approach that, how do you sort of, does that factor in at all or not when you're sort of building around an actor, a series?
I'm not going to speak that much because Sherry and Rebecca are truly the people who are leading the way especially after the pilot. But so I'll just answer a couple of questions. But there's something wonderful about building around somebody as incredibly talented as Colin. And I think he is an actor magnet. So actors want to come on board fairly quickly. So in that sense, it's a gift. But the other gift was Fernando Murray, who was the director of the first two episodes. And I know Sherry and we talked to Rebecca, really wanted to work with him. We've been
Mhm.
huge fans of his film work, and he has done amazing work with actors who have gone on to win Academy Awards in his film. And he's a true artist. So I think it was the combination of Colin and Fernando that was incredibly exciting for us to come on board and be able to give what casting directors can give to a show.
Mhm. You guys are the unsung heroes in a lot of ways that don't. It still blows my mind. There's no Academy Award thing for casting directors because it's,
There is now.
well, yeah, there wasn't until now, but it's
Yeah.
crazy how it took all these years to do it because of how important your roles and jobs are. you ladies are a team. Is there, you feel like an advantage to working together, having that shorthand together, and working on several projects together? I'm curious about your working relationship and how does that kind of go? Is there maybe disagreements or what to expect from each other? I'm curious when you have this like sort of team together, that you
I
work
mean,
on several projects.
look, I think the great thing is that we all bring a different set of strengths,
Mhm.
to a project. And Sharon and I obviously have worked together for, 25 plus years, and we have known Rebecca for 15 or 20 years, and had such respect for the work that she had done on projects independent of us. And we did Perry Mason, and we brought her on as to be a partner on that with us. And we really liked the way that we were working together. And so for Sugar, it was a sort of a natural combination for us to kind of do this together. And, we all bring something different to the table. And, Rebecca, I remember from day one, was talking about Sydney Chandler for the role of Olivia. She had just watched her in a mini series, and and we would talk about that. So we all educate each other, we all motivate each other, we all inspire each other in those ways. And she was exactly right. And I remember, seeing her and being like, holy shit, because I wasn't as familiar with her as Rebecca was. So, I'll let you speak to that, Rebecca, but just to kind of set up like how it is that we all do work together. It's just, you have to motivate, inspire, and learn from each other still.
I mean, three minds are always better. We're not all watching the same thing. So we're actually educating one another. And, I may have seen people that they didn't see. And, it's any sort of swath of the amount of actors that we've all seen collectively, we're going to learn. And that's what, I mean, these two are some of my casting heroes, Sherry and Sharon. Like, to be able to work with them is incredible. And to watch the way that they work, I learned so much.
Mhm. I'm curious also on the aspect of today's day and age with the streamers and so much content out there. It's content all over and always use for it. How has this industry changed in the like 25 years you two ladies have worked together to where we are now? Is it more challenging or is this still the core of it the same when you're picking talent?
Well, I think who's
Good
going to go?
question.
Yeah.
That's a really good question. Yeah. Somebody else go first.
I mean, I used to pride myself on being able to watch everything, and that's just not the case anymore. So you
Not
have to
possible.
really pick and choose. You hear from other people, oh, there was this amazing show, word of mouth. But it's just impossible to keep up now. But that's why it's good for us to see as many actors as we can. Like, we have our favorites and you always go back to the ones that will perform. But for me, especially, during this process with the amount of people that we were casting in Sugar, you always want to bring in 4 or 5 people for each role that you don't even know. And so you learn new people that way, because it is fine to see somebody in something, but watching them audition is a whole different way of seeing them. So it's impossible to keep up. You just have to do the best that you can.
Yeah. And I think
That's
that,
well said.
the self-taping aspect has really shifted. We had always worked in the self-taping space because the majority of our shows did not shoot in Los Angeles. So when COVID hit, it wasn't a big shift for us personally. The amounts that we were doing obviously shifted, but we've always been very much an in-person audition office. That's the preference for us because you cultivate your relationships with actors, Nate Cordry is a perfect example who, ended up in Sugar. And the reason that we were able to know that he would be perfect for this, towing the line between the drama, but also finding comedy where there wasn't really comedy, and a lightness that made that character what it was, his character, was because we met him for so many years in the room, and we got to know him as a person. We got to know him as an actor and an artist, and what he could do. And he always, brings something different and unique to every character, always. And you don't get that over self-tape.
Yes.
You do have the ability maybe to take a few more chances because you only have a certain amount of time in the day. So if you're doing in-person auditions, and you have 2 hours, you can see, you know, maybe 2 every 15 minutes with self-taping. But even in that, it's a thoughtful process. There are casting directors out there that will just, you know, for one role, set up 150 people. And it's not really thoughtful. That is just sort of seeing what lands. That's not really the art of casting, you know?
Yeah, that's
And to Sherry's point, I'm just looking at the cast list and, you know, Kirby, Dennis Boutsikaris, Nace Cordray, Alex Hernandez, Anna Gunn, Eric Lang, Miguel Sandoval, Jason Butler Harner, Elizabeth Anway. Like these are all people that have been in our office for years that we've established relationships with. And the difference because you also start to think of them for a role that they may not have been thought of before, like Sherry and Rebecca did with Nate. I don't think he gets that opportunity more, but you learn, you have a relationship with them and you know what they're capable of.
Uh-huh. You know, I would, it seems like we're in a day and age now where it's so much easier to self-submit and do things from the phone and whatnot, but I'm at least a person that likes the personal relationship. So for me, if I was auditioning, I'd probably be like, oh no, I kind of dislike maybe the self-tape, even though it's maybe easier and you don't have to drive to the auditions and all that, but that personal connection, knowing the human, their personality, it sometimes can be replicated on a tape and you don't get that version of that person. Do you think about that too? Like, hey, maybe this tape isn't showcasing someone that we don't know as well, the way they would be more dynamic as if they were doing this in person.
Absolutely. And also being in the room, giving direction, knowing what the producers have responded to, knowing what the director is looking for. And for me, also reading with the actor and being able to sort of weave them in and out of what you're looking for as you're going through the audition, that's all lost. I mean, we still do give notes if people want to call and we'll do Zoom callbacks, but you're right, it's not the same as being in the room.
But there were many times that myself or Rebecca, we would watch an audition and know that it needed to be modulated a little bit. And you know, that we take it to the next step and the next level. I don't know, Rebecca, how many times you were like, I watched so-and-so, I just want to get them on Zoom and tweak it a little bit and see if we can make it a little bit better and a little bit more for what the producers are looking for. And then we'll send it. You know, it's about still having a process and not just, you know, throwing tapes in and out. That's not casting. That's watching and going. I like that.
It's still curating, like figuring out how to curate within the new way of casting.
I'm curious individually, what are sort of the philosophies? Do you share a general overview on casting talent or not? Because at least my opinion of actors would be like, sometimes you see maybe younger actors just like so immersed in a world of acting. Like, I'm an actor, I'm always acting 24/7. Like, no, you need to be a human being first in order to have these rich life experiences to bring to these roles. I would think like you would want a normal life outside of being an actor to just like immerse yourself in the world around you so you can bring it on screen. What are sort of philosophies you individually, ladies, have, and maybe as a group too, for an actor that you generally go to, maybe like a maybe an outline of it in a sense where you want that from someone to start from the beginning?
I think overall, the landscape, Sherry and Rebecca and I have a philosophy of treating actors with respect, looking at their body of work, trying not to stereotype them into what they've done before. So really examining them on different mediums, go seeing them in the theater, different television shows, you know, often we'll point that out. But as far as the human being, like, we're not here to judge them as human beings. We're here to judge the work and how they prepared for the work. You know, what they do on the outside is really up to them. I mean, you're looking for people who are good people. You don't want to cast somebody who's difficult on a set, but that's not really what we're interested in. We're interested in actors who do their homework, immerse themselves, take some chances, and honestly just bring the script to life. You know, we were lucky, we had a really great script, but actors always add to it. So an actor could be super shy in real life. You don't want to hold that against them, you know? So I don't know. Sherry, what do you think, Rebecca?
I mean, I think that, there has to be an openness to work. I think sometimes actors get very much in their process and in their head and think
Mhm.
that, you know, one way is the only way. And you know, if you come in and we want to play around with the scene or the material, and there is a, you know, a defense mechanism that might come up because they in their head have prepared it in such a certain way, that's not, you know, that's not part of what the process should be. I'm not, and I think that type of person is far and few between, but there have been.
Mhm.
And me personally, I do not want to be around entitled people or that have a false sense of entitlement. So that's like a big, like, just not an energy I want to be around. But
Right.
you know, if we're inviting you into our space, we want you there.
Yeah.
You know,
And we want you to
wanna
get the
work with
job.
you.
Yeah. We are
We wanna
rooting
get to
for
know
you.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I
Mhm.
think knowing that we're always rooting for them and that we admire the work that they do is something that you hope comes into the space while you're working with them, and then they will feel more free to move around and do other things and take chances. So I think it's about trusting us and knowing that we're not the first line of, we don't want you to get the job. Like, we've really, if you're in here, that's the best feedback we can give.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's
that's why somebody like Nate Cordry, you know, Sherry and Sharon, they believe in him so much, and he does nothing but deliver for them. And
Mhm.
that's a testament to both how he feels when he's in the room with them and the environment that they create
Mhm.
when working with an actor.
That's interesting. Yeah, I've
Thanks,
spoken to many.
Rebecca.
I've spoken to directors before, and I always kind of ask them that, like, what makes a sort of a good actor to work with, and it's always been sort of the same answer. It's always been, I want to be with someone. I don't need someone as incredibly talented. I'd rather someone less talented, but as long as I can spend like 3 months with them on location or whatnot, and they're good to be around. Like, it's a kind of a element that you don't think about much, but you guys are the first line really to sort of evaluate that. You don't want someone to be a bad apple that throws off a whole production in that sense. And, you know, no matter what the talent is, it's sometimes, I'm guessing it's a thing you need to navigate and think about too. You know, what's the next layer maybe potentially of it? I don't know if you think about that, like when once they get on set, and will
Yeah.
we get good feedback from the director and whatnot?
Yeah.
You always want somebody that wants to be there.
Mm-hmm.
That's you. I mean, that's the gift, is people who want to be there.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious, like a show like Sugar, are you fans of individually? Like, you've done so many fantastic shows. It's unbelievable. I've seen probably at least half of them, but over the years. But are you fans of your shows too? Like, once the casting's done, you can kind of shut off that working portion and just enjoy something. I mean, part of it is to sort of scout and look at different things. But of the shows you've done, do you find yourself being fans of it too? Like, as you know, like, oh, I wonder what's happening season 2 and whatnot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times for me, there's certain shows that I've worked on that I didn't want to read the whole script. I just wanted to read what I had to do because I'm such a fan and I want to watch it when it's on screen. I don't want to ruin the surprise. I don't want to, you know, I want to really see what happens, and I want to see the final product.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have to, because it gives you context for the character.
I
and
know. Then there's all
very,
sorts
like,
of
sad.
questions that you need to answer. It
Yeah.
becomes a whole thing.
So yeah, we all want to live in that world. But I
Yeah.
think a testament to a really great show is when you know what's happening. And we've had the opportunity and good fortune to have a few of these series where, you know, we all knew how Breaking It Bad was going to end.
Yeah.
And still watching it, you know, I was like pacing around the house. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God, what happens? What happens? You know, when it's done and done really well, even when you have the information, it is, you're watching it as a fan and as an audience member for the first time.
Yeah, I have to say with Sugar, I was a huge fan. I never let go of watching the actors that were cast, so I have to watch the show again to enjoy it because I'm kind of judging. But with Sugar, I just had such immense respect for all of the departments. I mean, the editor was a genius. It was beautifully shot. It was
Beautifully shot. The
beautifully
music,
edited. And I think you know, what sometimes we're just in the room with the actors on the page, and then you see it come to life and you go, oh my God, this is every department like raised the bar. It was just so beautiful and beautifully directed between Adam and Fernando. They had two
Mhm.
directors. Just,
Yeah,
you
no
know,
question.
Yeah,
It's
we're
kind of like a
really proud of
noir,
it.
modern noir too. It's got that
Yes,
sense of it,
yes.
but it's daylight too in a lot of ways. You think of noir like dark. There's a lot of daylight here in LA, so I love
Yeah.
the kind of look of it too, and then the genre of it. It was a
Well,
nice blend.
yeah, I think one of the things that was very important from the beginning, we had a lot of conversations about really, we're in the city of LA. We need to represent the city of LA, which is,
Mhm.
a very big melting pot. And, it was very important to us that not everybody looked like an actor. We had to
Yes.
really make sure that people felt very real in the parts of the city that they were in, and in the positions that they were in, and in the relationships that they were in, all of that. And it was not an easy show to do. It was challenging in the best way, right?
Mhm.
It was inspiring in the best way. So yeah.
There you
Mhm.
go. I guess when you're having fun, time runs by quick. So I'm going to wrap up with sort of a fun thing I like to always ask. I'm going to start with you, Rebecca. What are some things you like to do to unplug? Because I mean, this is such an immense world of casting directors. You're constantly looking at actors and videos. Like, I'd imagine you need time to unplug and have a regular life when you're not working. Do you have any sort of hobbies you go to or things to kind of get away from it when you need to?
I mean, I love watching sports. I do watch
You
reality
don't just love
television.
watching sports, you understand sports, and you
Yeah.
like talk
That's a
about
big
it.
thing.
Yeah.
Any particular sport you're geared towards?
Um, I love football. I love watching the basketball season has been amazing. The WNBA now. Thank you,
Mhm.
everybody. Thank you very much finally for coming around to the WNBA.
Mhm.
Yeah, just anything that's not scripted television. I have a dog, I have a cat, I have a daughter, all of these things that sort of
Yeah.
get me out of my,
Dog and
not
cat came
necessarily
before
in
the
that
dog.
order.
Any
Um,
reality show you're binging on or
I
something like
mean,
that?
I do a lot of them. I don't think I would love to say it's just competition reality, but it's not. It's all of it. I mean,
Not
it's all
really.
Bravo is sort of my best friend. That's what I'll say.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff there too. I'm a 90 Day Fiance fanatic, so I can relate.
Well, there's that too, but that's a whole other conversation.
Perfect. Beautiful answer. How about you, Sherry?
It's just all about the work. No.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
You know what? I just really like to have fun in my life. Honestly, no matter what I'm doing, I want to enjoy it. I want to have a good time and I want to be present. I have two daughters. I have an amazing husband. I also have a dog. I also watch Bravo.
Yeah.
I really love traveling when I can, which is
Mhm.
challenging when you have kids. I love going to New York. I'm due for a trip to New York to get re-inspired with theater and I love LA. I know a lot of people like bag on LA, but I really
Uh-huh.
do. I'm a Massachusetts girl, but I love living here, and I feel really fortunate to be
Mhm.
here and do what we get to do.
No question. Sharon, close it out.
I'll close it out that I also have a dog.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I have
Trifecta.
two amazing children, a son who's a journalist and a daughter who's a jewelry designer. So they're a big part of my life. And I'm also a huge basketball fan.
There
So
you go.
like in my free time, would I love, the ballet or basketball? And it's very hard for me to say this, but yes, Sherry, the Celtics look fantastic.
Mhm.
And I,
Uh,
I know no
they're
one
gonna,
wants to talk about the Celtics today.
no.
It's gonna be
they
good finals. It's gonna be
Great
gonna
good.
be
finals.
great
Great
finals.
finals.
And I actually do like share. I travel to Chicago and New York. I mean, that seeing theater is our homework, but to me,
Uh-huh.
it's one of my hobbies and one of my great joys that I've done my whole life. And I'm the only one in the office who does not watch reality television. So they show up and they're talking and I'm like, what are you talking about? They're so into like something. I'm like, who are you talking about? And then I just let go and I'm like, okay, so I went to the museum this weekend.
It's a whole different world.
The whole different, I like to go and look at art and just space out and, but I appreciate that it is a place for casting directors to relax.
Mhm.
And like when we watch other television shows, we're still working.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
when you watch
We're dissecting.
sports or when you watch, reality, you can just have fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's that unplug. I'm
But
curious.
I don't think they'll ever get me to watch The Real Housewives, no matter what.
You have a lot to catch up with once you get to it. So.
I'm good. I watch foreign films, and that makes me happy.
Perfect. Curious, what kind of journalist is your son?
He right now is freelancing for CNN and Politico. He was with CNN in Hong Kong covering the
wow.
state. Now he's in Paris covering Europe, and
That's pretty fantastic. That's big time. That's a lot better than what I'm doing. I'm just
there's
talking
nothing better. You know what? I think everything has people who are interested in it. I don't think what he's doing is any better than what you're doing. I think that people really need entertainment right now, and they're really
True.
curious
Yep.
about what goes on behind the scenes and how it's made. People who love the genre want to know how it works.
Yeah.
Just kind of like going to a museum and having a docent explain the painting, you really get a better and a fuller understanding of the show. So I think what you're doing is
It's
really
exactly Sugar versus Real Housewives.
That's right.
There you go.
Oh,
What
there
a
you
way
go.
to eloquently put it
Yes.
together. I got
Way
nothing
to land the
after that.
plane, Sherry.
Perfectly said. You ladies have done amazing work over the years that I've watched, and so many castings that have just been just so memorable. Keep on doing great work. I love this show especially, but I'm excited to see what's next. I know there's a lot more, and thank you for taking time to talk to me. This was a blast.
Thank you. Let us
Thank
know when you
you.
finish the show and what you thought.
I
Yeah.
will for
Yes.
sure. I'm getting there. I'm like a couple episodes away, so I gotta, kind of sink it in and take it in. But I will for sure. Hopefully, there's more seasons too.
Hopefully.
There you go. Thank you for doing this, and hopefully to catch up again down the road.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Bye.
Thank you,
Appreciate this.
Deanna.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Deanna.
Deanna.